it sounded like he had two questions with that. One, is Egoscue really for me if I don't have pain?
That's
And
right.
then two, if I don't have pain, how am I going to know I'm actually getting better or benefiting? Like, what is the gauge?
Love that.
Yeah, me too.
Love that.
Love that. And so did any, I know you said you love that. Did any like thoughts immediately come to your head? And then
those are my favorite clients.
Yeah.
No, I love all clients, but like, to me, those people need it the most. Not necessarily the most, but like, you're going to get the best benefit. Like, if you're already kinesthetically aware, like, you took half of our job out of the equation. And now, to me, that gauge is like such a personal experience in terms of the activities you're already doing. So like you said, like before you dance, you see the huge difference. Like that to any athlete, anybody that they're like, oh my gosh, this is going to like make me work smarter, not harder. Like, to me, that's like that aha.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny because when he was saying like, how will I know, you know, and is this even for me? And the whole idea, wouldn't it just be wonderful? It would be great if people started implementing Egoscue. Honestly, I think starting when you're a toddler, like
when you're out of the womb,
you're out of the womb.
Cross crawl.
Yeah, it literally, just for proper development, proper function, because it is amazing how much we unconsciously accommodate our dysfunctions. And that is true beyond the physical realm, but we will keep it physical for the purposes of this. And so with that in mind, there are so many other ways that we can gauge your progress. And wouldn't it just be so wonderful if, P.S., this client who mentioned that he doesn't have any pain, it's not that he had great posture. So miraculously, we will say, given what his posture looked like, he did not have pain. And that is awesome. So let's get ahead of it because, you know, again, when we unconsciously accommodate these dysfunctions, it's only a matter of time before pain starts to set in, because all of this is truly just a signal. It's a signal that something is off. And poor posture is the most, or asymptomatic poor posture, I would say, is
it's like walking around with COVID and like being asymptomatic. You know what I mean? Like those people that come in there. I mean, I'm not saying that's a perfect example, but like you come in, no symptoms, you put them in front of the camera, they're like, holy cow. That's how I was when I got here.
Absolutely.
I was like, oh, I'm an athlete. I don't have any pain. Like I've never really experienced like chronic acute pain. I mean, sometimes I've taken on some clients' pain, but like that's a different story. So as a means to solving, but like those imbalances, as any, like most of the time when you're an athlete, you're strengthening one side over the other. Very rarely, like you said, like when we're toddlers, we should be doing things that are both sides, and we don't. Mm-hmm. So that imbalance over time, like maybe I probably caught it at just the right time, you know. And then the benefit to that, or the gain to that, is like you now have an up on prevention and like furthering your goals, whatever they are. But like you're now balanced. You're working with yourself, not against yourself, if that makes sense. Yes,
you're working with yourself. And then there are a bunch of other things that we don't even think about. Like, for example, you don't have pain. For anyone who's listening right now, I am willing to bet you that you relate to having a good side and a bad side. You relate to having a strong side. You relate to having a tight side, more flexible side. So not pain, but you are aware that there is an imbalance and there's an asymmetry, right?
Yeah.
That was me. You know, fortunately, thank God, I didn't have acute pain, but I definitely had a hard time doing certain things on my right side. And it was very interesting when my Egoscue therapist at the time noticed that just by looking at my posture photos. And he was like, do you have a hard time turning to your right? And I was like, why would you know that? So
totally.
Those are things like for anyone out there who is like, well, I don't really think this would be for me because I don't have pain. If that question of, you know, well, do I consider one side my bad side or my strong side or my weak side or whatever it might be, then that means you are aware of an imbalance already that needs addressing. And this is the best signal. An asymptomatic signal is the best kind of signal, you know, to get ahead, like you just said, and to work with your body, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Against it. And then a great way to notice if you are making progress is simply, how big is that disparity now? Like, are you able to, are you able to do more on this side than you were before? Side A, side B, things like that. And another thing is, our body houses all of our systems. So, I mean, digestion, definitely like digestion. A lot of times it's, okay, we got to get your pelvis in a better position. We don't even realize how tight our hips might be. We don't realize how locked up our upper back might be.
Yeah. People come in, they're like, I haven't pooped in like 2 weeks. We're like, oh, okay, TMI. But like, the truth of the matter is, like, a lot of it can be related to like your pelvic position. 100%. And you wouldn't think like, oh, I'm just all plugged up. But like, that's all encompassing. Like
all encompassing. Yeah. And so
lymph nodes, like all swollen ankles, we see that all the time. Like, almost like they're disconnected from the bottom down. It's like, because we sit. Like, we're becoming even more sit friendly, so it's like everything's kind of just like shutting off.
Yeah.
And then they're like plugged up.
The swollen ankles is such a good point, because people will be like, well, I don't have any problems, and then like, oh no,
just like that.
I don't have swollen ankles, and look what happened. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, swollen ankles, but being like, well, I don't have pain, and then this is like a totally separate thing, even though it's a part of my body,
Yeah.
And okay, well, so let's talk about lymph flow. Why do you think you're retaining this fluid? I mean, think about when a lane is blocked, it totally makes traffic a lot more congested. It's the same idea. If a joint isn't functioning properly, all the systems are going to be compromised,
Yeah.
So,
wait, okay, what about this? The client that comes in and they're like, okay, so this isn't related, but like, whenever I use the mouse on my right hand, like, I just don't feel it. Like, I know that's not connected, but like, I just thought you should know. But like, I get tingling. Sometimes they go numb at night when I'm texting, and then
but it's not related.
Yeah, but it's not related, but I just think you should know. So I'm going to a hand specialist in a week, but like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Again, not connected to my back. This hand thing is totally separate.
This is separate. It's
part of me, but it's totally separate. So definite things for people to consider, for anyone who, for people who are listening right now, being mindful of the fact that all systems are housed in this human experience.
Totally. Like, I get asked a lot, like, what do you guys treat? Which is a great question, because it's like, the possibilities are really endless. Like, if it's on your body, I'm like, starting from the head, shoulders, knees, hips, toes. Like, they're all they're like, whoa, you mean like tennis elbow, like carpal headaches? Like, what? I'm like, yeah. Like, and then they're like, oh, well, I have someone that has this or has that. It's like, boom, mind blown.
Mind blown. So many people like who don't play tennis with tennis elbow these days.
Oh, we see it all the time. Or like, even like bursitis is like also a thing. They're all interconnected.
They are, yeah.